This has big implications, I think, in terms of the reach of the state into people's lives.
Essentially, the government is spying on more and more areas of our lives.
Many things we should be concerned about. The government snooping on one's bank accounts.
Our civil liberties are under attack.
The government is sneaking in new powers to spy on all of our bank accounts on the premise of dealing with welfare fraud. But how would politicians feel if these monitoring powers were used on them? We're down in Westminster today to talk to MPs, peers, and ask them how they would feel about having their bank accounts monitored. If you're concerned about this, don't sit back. Sign our petition to stop the government from spying on all of our bank accounts. You can find the link with this video.
How would you like your bank account spied upon? Because all sorts of people could be caught up in the web.
Nobody should want that. Everybody should be entitled to that kind of level of privacy, and I'm deeply concerned about it.
But how would you feel if you had your bank account spied on?
Not very good about it, and it shouldn't be the case at all.
Well, I did suggest in a debate in the House of Lords that perhaps the MPs should test this process first, because obviously we need it to work properly if it's going to work. And so MPs would be a fantastic group of people to test it on, I'd have thought.
Chris, we're from Big Brother Watch. Do you know about the government's bank spying powers? Do you know about them? The welfare bank spying powers?
Would you be worried if you had your bank account spied on?
Well, everybody would be, wouldn't they? I mean, obviously there needs to be a degree of powers for the police and other authorities with regard to criminal activity to protect people from fraud, from criminal fraud. But actually, for the DWP to have it, well, that's something very different, I would say.
We're just chatting to people about the government's bank spying powers. Do you know anything about them at all?
The government what?
The government's bank spying powers for welfare, the new powers in the DPDI bill. Do you know about that at all?
I'm sorry, I've got to move on anyway.
How concerned are you?
I'm really concerned. I've received a lot of casework about this where people are worried about being spied on, and we know that our civil liberties are under attack. We've had swathes of anti-civil liberties legislation being passed by this government, from spy cops to the Chiz bill, and this is another iteration of that attack on our civil liberties. So I voted against that measure. Unfortunately, it passed, but we need to keep campaigning against it.
And what they're actually doing, of course, is persecuting some of the poorest people in Britain. I mean, that's no surprise. They've been doing it for some time. But really, this is a step too far, I would have thought, even for this horrible government.
I am aware of concerns that are being expressed by groups in Greater Manchester who work with people who are very fearful of what this might mean. So I think there has to be a pause pressed here, I would say. This has big implications, I think, in terms of the reach of the state into people's lives, and normally I'm prepared to accept things where they're justified, but this, when it comes to benefits, I think is very worrying indeed.
No, it's deeply troubling, and Liberal Democrats have always been opposed to that kind of intrusion. Many things we should be concerned about. The government snooping on one's bank accounts. It's deeply intrusive, and no democratic free government should be seeking to do this.
It's clear that there is widespread concern about these powers amongst politicians. We need to stop these plans in their tracks. So join us in standing up for the right to privacy, and if you haven't already, please sign and share our petition calling on the government to junk these plans.